So welcome to the inside of my casita. Jen and I are excited to have this little camper to be able to get out and do some exploring, as well as we're going to be taking it to different ministry sites. Like this summer we'll be in Washington, D.C. for 2 weeks, and this will be my home for 2 weeks. And Jen will come out and visit me for a weekend, and the girls, and we'll all squish into this little space, but I love it and I'm excited about that. So wanted to tell you my first travel story. You know, a big part of what I'll be doing is traveling with Apex and going to different sites. And we had a travel experience, or I had a travel experience to go down to Clearwater, Florida last week. And I had a flight that was scheduled to leave South Bend, Indiana at 6:55 a.m. and arrive by about 11:30 in Tampa, Florida. So I get to South Bend Airport and I go through security. One of the things I love about South Bend Airport is I'm the only one in the security line, no problems, get through there. And we get onto our plane, no problem, and it pulls away from the gate and it stops, and I'm looking out my window and I'm seeing, you know, the lady that's holding that thing that says, you know, where to go at the plane, and she kind of stops and she looks under the plane, and I see her get her phone out and I see her take a picture of something under the plane, and I thought, that can't be good. So we sit there for another minute or two, and then the captain comes over the intercom and he says, well, folks, we have a little bit of a problem, and on the one side of the plane there's two tires, and they're both either a little low or flat and need air in it. But unfortunately, we have to pull back into the gate. Everybody's going to have to get off. And then, you know, we fill up the tires with the plane empty. I'm like, okay. So we pull up to the gate and everybody gets off. And they said it's going to take about a half hour for the crew to get there that can fix these tires. So we wait. About a half hour later, they get there and they're working on it. And then they come over the loudspeaker. Well, folks, it looks like we were able to fill up one of the tires, but the other tire needs to be replaced. So it's going to take a little bit longer. And so we're like, okay, we'll keep waiting for a while. And then they come over the loudspeaker. Well, folks, we're definitely going to need to replace this tire, and it turns out we don't have a spare tire here in South Bend, but we have one flying in from Detroit, and it'll be here in a couple hours. So we're going to be here for a while. But here's the good news. First time ever, I got some free flying miles, some air miles, and I got a voucher for breakfast there at the airport. Which, if you know South Bend Airport, you're past the security. There's only one place to eat. So I went there and I got my egg and sausage sandwich, which was about what you'd expect from airport food, and enjoyed that. But it was free. So wait a while longer and just keep waiting, and pull out my app and I see, hey, there's actually another flight going out about 12:30. And there's seats available, so I'm going to just switch to that one because it doesn't look like this one's going to get out anytime soon. So I get onto that flight, no problems. We get on the plane, we pull out and, you know, get away from the gate. We get farther away from the gate this time, and then we stop before we get onto the runway to take off. We stop out near, you know, the point where you actually get on the runway, the tarmac or whatever. Captain comes over the loudspeaker. Well, folks, we're going to be here for a few minutes because it turns out there's some pretty strong storms down in where the layover was in Atlanta. There's some pretty strong storms down in Atlanta, so we have to wait for that just a little bit, and they're going to get us a new flight path. Shouldn't take but a few minutes, and then we'll be on our way. Well, about every 15 minutes, we'd get that announcement over the loudspeaker. Well, folks, we're still waiting. And we're still waiting. And 2.5 hours of sitting there on the tarmac, we finally hear from the captain. Okay, folks, we're ready to go. We're clear for takeoff. We've got our flight plan. We're on our way. Shouldn't be long. We'll get going. Like, okay, great. So we get in the air. We're flying towards Atlanta, and as we get into the Atlanta area, the captain comes over the loudspeaker again. He's like, well, folks, you remember how there was that long delay because of the storms and all that? Well, it's kind of created a traffic jam. So we've been instructed to fly around Atlanta for, about 45 minutes or so. But don't worry, there's plenty of gas, or fuel, or whatever they call it on a plane. Plenty of fuel. We're not going to fall and crash to the ground. We're going to be fine, but we're going to have to just, fly some circles for a while. So I'm looking at my flight. I'd already had to reschedule my flight from Atlanta to Tampa a couple of times. I look at my flight, and it's at 5 p.m. Like, okay, this is going to be pretty tight. So we hit the ground in Atlanta at 4:35 p.m. I've got 25 minutes to get to the gate, get my bag, not from baggage claim, but just, from underneath the plane. They bring it up and put it in the little alleyway there. Get my bag, get 2 terminals over, and get on the next plane. But listen, I'm thinking I'm a professional traveler now. This is something that I do, so I can do this. I can make this. This is going to happen. And I get my bag. There's a little delay in getting the bags, but eventually I get my bag and I go running across the airport. Now, of course, COVID is still going on. We're all having to wear our masks, so I'm running. This is my first time actually running in an experience with the mask, and I'm like breathing it in. It's tickling the back of my throat. I'm, trying to breathe as I'm going, but I'm running. I can make this. And I get to the gate at 4:55, and the door was closed. I look around at the people. There's other people sitting there, and they said you just missed it. They just closed the door. And guess what the airlines don't do once they've closed the door? Yeah, that's right. They don't open it. So if the door's closed, you're not getting on that flight. So I get back on my app and I reschedule for the next flight, which is an hour and a half later from Atlanta to Tampa. And I contact my group that I'm meeting with. It was the Reach Student Council that I was meeting with. We meet twice a year, once in the fall and usually once in winter, early spring. But because of COVID, it got pushed back to May. And going to meet with them, and they usually on their first night they get to go out to a real nice dinner. And so I'm texting and calling and saying this is where I'm at. And they says, well, you're gonna miss the dinner, so you might as well just get something to eat at the airport. Okay, so I go to Qdoba. Not bad, Qdoba's good, but still, Qdoba at the airport. My friends, all the other Reach Student Council, they're all having this amazing dinner that they told me all about in detail for the rest of the week that we were there. It was really good, and I didn't get it. And then they said, by the way, we're going to be out, at this meal and, doing some things, so you're going to have to find your own ride from the airport to the hotel. So just get an Uber or something. Okay, great. I'll do that. But as I'm flying to Tampa, I'm remembering, hey, I've got a cousin, a great cousin, a good friend that lives in Tampa area. Maybe he lives close enough to the airport. Maybe we can get some time together and maybe, go out and get some food or something. So I call him up once we land, and sure enough, he was available. And so, all right, things are looking up. And Dave comes and picks me up at the airport, and we're spending some good time together. And we thought, let's get some wings, right? Because wings are always good. So we pull into the wing place, and well, they were closed. So we just carried on, and he dropped me off at the hotel and went to my hotel room, went to bed. Nothing exciting that day. I was supposed to have made it to Tampa by 11:30 a.m. Ended up landing at 8 p.m. in Tampa and missed the entire day of meetings. This is my first big travel story experience complication. I thought you'd enjoy hearing a little bit about that because it was kind of crazy, kind of funny, kind of fun. All worked out fine, but definitely an adventure. So there's my first big travel experience. I got 5,000 Sky Miles and a free lunch and was 9 hours late.